Hey everyone, this is my reaction to Tiki
It has been a year since John was forced to leave his position as a super
reaction
soldier.
to it.
After that, he has been officially been declared dead.
To JOhn-117.
He managed to escape to a small planet far away from the nearest major colonies and other military presence places. And on the planet that he had stayed on, he was not going to stay there for particularly long. He only stayed there for only but a short time before moving on. But there was something that would change that all. One day when he was in the forest looking for more some firewood for his camp, he heard this strange sound after living on this planet for about a year. But something that made him very stunned. He has never heard any of this sound before.
This story was made for JOhn-117.
As he tried to follow the sound where it was coming from, he saw this strange sound,
Tiki's not a period, but
bright light in the distance.
Doing well.
As he gets closer, he suddenly saw this bright light faded away and was gone. And when he got in the area where when he saw this bright light, he saw a young woman on the ground. He was very surprised to see anyone on the planet, because this planet didn't have any sort of colony or any military base or any outpost. This planet was uninhabitable, or it was inhabited. So he wondered, where did she came from? There was something about her that made him stop. Two things. Her ears was very pointed, and she was having unusual outfit. All his travels in the galaxy so long, he had never come across anyone with this type of clothing or her type of ears. This was something very interesting, but at the same time very curious. And he could just leave it, because she was unconscious. So he picked her up and took her back to his ship, where he let her rest. Only about 2 hours later, she woke up, and he was always outside the room when he heard her walking around. He opened the door. He was about to attack her, but he said, Whoa, sorry, I'm not harmful. He tried to calm her down, and he managed to do it at least a bit. He asked her what her name was, and she demanded the same thing. He said that his name was John, and she said that her name was Tiki. She demanded to know where she is, and why is she being captured by him. He explained that he found her in the forest on this particular planet, but she isn't uncaptured. She was unconscious on the ground, and he took her back to his ship so that she could rest. She was then curious about planet ship. She had no idea what he's talking about. But at the same time, he asked her where she, maybe that he can take her where she's from. But what she explained doesn't even make sense to him. From what he understood from what she told him, he had hard time to even believe it. But there was one thing, if there was a ship, he would probably be discovered by now. Because during the time when she was unconscious, he managed to use his ship to scan the planet for inch by inch to see if there's any sort of ship on the orbit or on the planet or any city or anywhere vicinity. But nothing. There has not been other ships in the vicinity for basically none. He was very curious to know more about her. But then he asked her if she was hungry. At least he wanted to offer her some food because he heard her stomach was growling. So she took the offer, and of course, when they was eating, she talked more about her place, where she came from, and Then he asked her what was the last thing he did that she remembers before waking up on his ship. She remembers that she was practicing some magic spell when suddenly this spell opened a sort of portal or something, and she was pulled in, and that was the last thing she remembers. But he explains that he has never heard anything about magic before.
John never heard about
Because
magic.
all he has been trained is to live in force, strength, and power. Or at least kind of something simple. But she tried to convince him that magic is real. So he couldn't even believe it. So he asked her to perform some, maybe some magic just to convince him. She tried. But for some unusual way, her magic was gone. She couldn't even feel the connection to magic at all. There was something about this place that she couldn't even express how she felt. Though she asked him if there was anyone else in the area, and he said no, that he was the only one that's on the particular planet, and that he's on the run. She asked why he's on the run and who's hunting him. He said there was this team called Firestar or Cyrus. And he tried to explain more about why. And she was very surprised that hearing all about his service to the government that he served, and suddenly they were hunting him like a villain, or at least like a rebel or something. And he has always been constantly moving for all the past years. This was the only planet that he had been staying on only for a short time before he decided to move on to the next planet, or at least somewhere else to stay. Tiki and John decided to maybe have some more talk, but then he decided to maybe it was time to leave the planet. But she didn't want to leave, because she believed maybe there was a way for her to go back to her own kingdom, or at least her, where she's from this particular planet. But how would that be possible now that she didn't have any magic? Without the magic, she wouldn't have any ability to go back home, where she's from. And John tried to convince her at least maybe they can find some other place, maybe something else to help her, maybe on the way. And she agreed. So they both left the planet about the next day. Even though Tiki could see the planet below her when they left, she had never could imagine and even be in space, seeing all distant stars and the two moons of this planet. It is just like a dream. She had never experienced anything like it before. But about this traveling, on the distant travel to another star, to another planet, where they were going to. But there was something about this character, or this man, John, that caught her eye. To her, he was quite handsome, even though he seems to be almost twice as older as her. But he explained that he had experienced a lot of travel over the years himself. He had experienced a lot of things. But there was something about her that he could never put a finger. Despite from being in a different world, she's very beautiful herself. And during the travel, he even asked her if she's a skilled fighter. And she said she is. So then he asked her if she wanted to take maybe a sparring match against him, just to prove. And wow, that he would never do it. Because she was so skilled in fighting it, which surprised him. But he was very surprised to see that she was so skilled, and she was very impressed to see about his skills. So after almost been traveling on this ship for nearly 2 more days, they arrived to another small planet just several light years away, where they decided to land. But they aborted until they discovered the planet was having a military outpost. But luckily today, he couldn't detect his ship. It turned out that before he left, his friend Cortana, an artificial intelligence, had modified his ship with a cloaking ability to make it invisible for radar and even from the naked eye. So they fly past the ship, the planet as well, another one. They landed on another small planet further away, in much like 10, 20 light years away from them. There they encountered a smaller zone, only as made as farming community. This planet were consisting of about 10,000 people and it's a small farming colony. There were no military presence anywhere close by, except for the one the military outlawed to travel fast. But during the time they stayed on this planet though, Tiki, she would have to be dressed in almost in modern human clothing because she could just walk around in her attire in her own outfit. It would only draw much attention. And she didn't even want to do so, but John convinced her if she would be able to walk around in town, she had to wear some of the more suitable clothing because it only draw her attention, which she didn't want to do so. So she agreed. But there was something about this town when she walked around. She was very impressed to see how much people are living there. That humans have been traveling to distant stars and then populated their different moons, the planets. She was impressed about that. And then, while they were in the town, they saw how John was walking by some kids playing some soccer. And they asked him if he wanted to join them play. And he actually started even playing soccer with them. And he was good. It turned out he used to play soccer even during his training as a soldier. And the kids were just happy to see him, smiling and laughing. While Tiki studying him by distance, she saw how good he was with the kids. She found that he was a very handsome guy for even that he was their age difference. But as they went back to the ship, Tiki then asked John if he probably he would consider to have a family of his own. He had said that during his training and during his mission sometimes he wished that he could retire and perhaps settle down and have a family of his own. But knowing that it would not be that possible because he's constantly training to be resisting that kind of feelings, and even that there have been a war several times that he needed, and that the United Earth government needed as many soldiers as possible, so he could not just retire. And she felt sad about that. But for some reason, it made him just want to leave the military, but he couldn't. But after the war was over, he tried to convince his generals or his supervisors that he wanted to leave the organization, leave the military, and just settle on another planet, go back to his home planet, and just live a peaceful life with a family of his own. But they denied his request.
That's the UNC for you, and
but
only.
Now he was on the field, he could do what he wanted. So she then asked, what about if he could stay on this planet and perform his wishes to live on the planet by his own wishes and start a family? He said that he had almost thought about staying here since this is a small planet, small farming community of about 10,000 people, and he didn't know how to be as a farmer because this was never that he trained. But Tiki knew some about farming, so she said that she could prove Joe and how to do so. So they both decided to live on the planet together as friends. But during the time on the planet where they started living, there were a lot of things that happened. They became even better friends, and slowly they became even romantically involved. But Tiki still wished that she could go back to home, but knowing that there was no it was impossible for her going back her own to her own version keeping home. But with her spending so much time with John made her realize, even if she couldn't go back, realize that she can't go back, that she had to stay now in this particular universe, or whatever it's called.
The universe is called the
And
Halo
even
universe.
that he were now her boyfriend, she was very much in love with him. They did everything together. And she even started working as a teacher in one of the schools. And she was very, very impressed about her skill. And even though especially John is very impressed about her skill as a teacher. And he was very actually good farmer. Surprised enough, he did was actually.
Trying to get
But
me
then,
when he
sad.
retired and he will gain retired.
After they've been living on the planet for about a year, one of the planet's regular storms, yearly storm that happens, appears sometimes maybe once or twice every second year or so, appeared, and the settlers have been informed, Tiki and John, about this, that this particular storm appears from almost every 2 years or so. And they normally don't that's that strong. There might be some minor building damages in town or something. But this particular storm was even almost twice as strong as it usually is. It was a lot of crops has been destroyed, a lot of buildings was destroyed, a lot of families lost their homes. But after this storm had passed, there was that family home that was destroyed. John was in town helping around to try to find some other survivors or trying to recover some buildings that could be restored. But during this time, he discovered a family home that was just after the storm was passed. A family home consisting of 2 parents and 2 children had been completely demolished. He found the 2 parents had been passed during the storm. They didn't make it. But then, as they were about to remove the rubble from the home, John heard them crying. And it turned out the 2 children managed to survive during the storm by taking shelter in the cellar. It turned out the parents had told their children to take shelter just before the storm would be too dangerous. The parents were also prepared to go down there, but they were caught in the storm before they had. And these 2 children was a boy by age 10, daughter by age 5. And they were now homeless. And they didn't have any other family on the planet. Tiki could not just stand seeing about them to be homeless. So she had asked them if they wanted to stay with her and John. John didn't mind having a family, the children to be there, because the boy was one of the kids that he usually plays soccer with. And the girl was also one of the students to Tiki. And after that, they had been staying at their home for about a few weeks afterwards. Tiki and John went into town and asked the mayor if it was possible for them to adopt the kids themselves, since they didn't have any other family members on the planet. And the mayor actually accepted the idea, and it was possible. They adopted the boy and daughter. But after this adoption was finished, John and Tiki got married after they got proposed. They had actually been engaged for about 6 months before the storm even happened. But after nearly 2 years of being married, Tiki announced to John that she was pregnant, but expecting their first child together. And they actually had a daughter of their own. Even though that they only had 2 adopted kids, they were really excited to have a daughter, at least a sister, even if it was a stepsister, but or at least adopted sister. But they were both still very happy to have a sister of their own together. And even John, he actually was really happy to have at least a small family with the girl, the young woman that he loved the most. Even there were sometimes, even where Tiki wanted to go back to her old home, which now was impossible, since she had no more magic. And John, he wished that he was never been this what happened to him, that he was never been tracked down, that he could just go back to his own planet and live there and maybe take his family with them. But sadly that it never happened. But he didn't mind living on this farming colony. It just, as long as he had his family there with him, he didn't mind to live there, living on this small planet with his family. He loves them. And all the other families they're on, they love him as well. For John, this was a dream that actually came true. And it turned out that Tiki also wanted to have a family of her own one day. Just never expected to happen so soon. But she was just happy to be able to have a family with John. And their love for each other only grew stronger for each single day. And that's how John, 17, and Tiki on true love got a family together. The end.
This is one of my favorite stories from Double, because I love those two characters, JOhn-117, okay, the Master Chief. I love that character because he's from Vendors. I love Tiki from Fire Emblem Awakening because he's the old Tiki. She's one of my favorite characters in that game. I never played, but I love the characters in that game. The reason I asked her to request that video because I love those two characters. Have as they fall in love. The reason first I asked him to subscribe to his channel, to a weekly video to his channel. Adult Tiki Class JOhn-117, a true love video with audio. I love please fans. Show Sweet Double a lot supports the subscribe to his channel because this is Travis Bell. My first reactions to Sweet Double's video I requested. See ya, my friend. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Travis Bell. Channel Travis Bell. Subscribe to my other videos, like Pokemon Japanese song. Okay? Read the video, but subscribe.